G'day boys and girls, today we are taking a look at multi-tools once again. So the two OMTs we have on the bench today are the Makita DTM52, in the States that would be the XMT04. And we have the Bosch, the GOP 18V-28. These are both 18 volt cordless oscillating multi-tools. But these two tools by themselves aren't really the main purpose of this particular video. When I did my video on this tool up against the previous two Makita multi-tools, there was a lot of interest. But some of you have a problem with this tool and this tool because they use the Starlock blades, and a lot of people do not like the Starlock blades. And it's not because the blades aren't good. The problem is, a lot of you find them too expensive, and so you want to be able to run your old school blades on these Starlock tools. So that's what we're going to look at today, converting these into running O.I.S blades, the original sort of multi-tool blades that have the holes in them, such as these sort of holes like this. Now this blade also has the cutout, which sort of gets called the DeWalt sort of blade, because the DeWalt ones you slot in the front, and you have pins on the tools that hold the blades in place with these holes. Now there's no pins in this tool or this tool because they run on Starlock blades. Non-Starlock blades are very thin, as you can see, whereas Starlock ones are sort of three-dimensional. Look at that. Thin, thick, you've got that extra depth there. That goes inside the tool to give it extra grip, to stop it from damaging your tool and just shaking around and vibrating in ways that it shouldn't be, because if these get a bit wobbly on it, then it will shear off the pins that hold it in place and ruin your tool. Whereas the Starlock grips the blade on the outside there with the shape on the tool, and that stops any damage, hopefully, to the tool. It gives you a far secure fit, so you can push harder, you can use longer blades, that sort of thing. But if you don't want to use those blades, if you've got tons of these old ones, but you want the comfort and the lower vibration of one of these newer multi-tools, then this video, focus, is for you. Now you no doubt noticed the paid promotion banner up in the top left when you started this video. That's not because I'm about to tell you about NordVPN or HelloFresh or anything like that. It's because somebody sent me some adapters for these and I'm going to show you them. And that company that sent them is the Oslo tool company, which most of you will be able to work out where that is, but if not, they are based, of course, in Norway. Now they have sent me some adapters to show you guys how to turn these tools into O.I.S blade running machines. So as you can see on here, we've got the pins that are missing from Starlock tools. So once we put this into here, hey, you can run all your old blades. So this makes this tool not only a Starlock tool, but basically makes it able to use just about any multi-tool blades around. But not only do the Oslo tool company make adapters for these tools, they also make blades for them as well. So once you've put your adapter in, you can chuck on some of their blades if you wish, because they do multi-tool blades, reciprocating saw blades, circular blades. What else they do? Jigsaw blades. I've got some jigsaw blades over there we might take a look at later. And yeah, so take a look at their website. The links will be down in the description. They have a Norwegian website and an international website. But let's take a closer look at the first of the adapters, because I'm sure a lot of you are aware that this adapter is not going to fit on the Bosch. But we'll start with the Makita, because I think more of you are going to want to see that. I'm going to assume that most of you watching are familiar with this tool, and that's why you're watching this video in the first place. This tool takes Starlock, Starlock Plus and Starlock Max, whereas this one I do believe only takes Starlock and Starlock Plus. So with Starlock Max there is less of these holes and stuff in the blade, so the blades are stronger. So basically it just has a slot through the middle and a circle where you can put your pin through. That means you can make these longer, get a bit more swing on them. Then the longer an oscillating tool blade is, the more it's going to move at the tip. If the blade's that length, you're only getting a very tiny vibration down here, so it's not going to cut much. The longer this is, the wider your arc is. And so you are likely aware that to use this tool, you have to remove this pin, put your Starlock blade in, poke the pin back in, and then lock the tool in place with the lever. All good and well? Well, basically you do the same thing with the adapter. Take that out. You don't need the original Makita pin because, as you can see, the adapter has the pin attached. Poke the whole adapter in, locks in place there nicely. Bam, done. That is, well, good and solid. Now basically looks like it's part of the machine. Then you can undo the bolt and remove the washer. Put on your blade with the holes for the pins, like so. Washer, and put your screw back in, bolt back in, and you are ready to go. And so if you've got hundreds of these blades, like so many of you said you did when you watched the video I did on this multi-tool, then you now are back in action. Bada bing, bada boom. And if you're one of these people that likes buying El Cheapo blades off AliExpress or something, you can now use them on the Makita Starlock tool. Simple as that. So when you want to change blades, instead of using the lever to remove the whole thing, you can just use an Allen key to take the bolt out. I mean, that is a little bit old school, of course, having to put a bolt or screw in, but hey, can't have everything, right? Now, because effectively you have turned your O.I.S blade into a Starlock blade, you don't need to undo this every time you want to change the angle. You can just lift it up, turn it, lift it up, turn it, lift it up, turn it, and just lock it in place, obviously. And that way you don't have to undo this every time. You can just stick it on whatever angle you want and lock it in position. Pretty good system. Will it fit the other way? It does. That's good. That means we can get into some different positions if need be, being able to come forward further rather than having the blade down that way. So you've got the two options there. With these Starlock ones, for instance, it's dead straight or nothing. This one, I can offset it. As you can see, this is an Oslo Tool Company blade as well. They sent me a few blades so that we can have a play with those and see how they go. Because you've got the circle all the way around of pins, that means you can put your blade on pretty much any angle you want. So it could be out the side like that. I tend to lock them in that position when I want to leave them on the tool. That way it's not in a dangerous position and it's not going to get bent or anything like that. They just sit nicely up against the tool. So you don't lose any of the angles or anything that you had with the Starlock. It's just as good as the Starlock in that regard for getting into different angles. So after I made my video on this tool, a lot of people said, is there an adapter? We need an adapter. I want the adapter so I can use my old blades. Well, there you go. Now, Oslo Tool Company have been making these, I do believe, since 2019. They were the first company to make one of these adapters for a Starlock tool to be converted. And it's a nice looking, well-made unit. And the link, of course, like I said, is in the description. So we'll now take a look at the Bosch one, and then we'll sort of put them up against each other, have a bit of a cut of something. But that ain't going to fit in the Bosch. So where is the Bosch adapter? Well, here it is. Comes in a cute little box. First, let's look at the tool and see why we need a different adapter. It's very different to the Makita one. Makita went with a totally different system, which does allow them to do the full range, like I said earlier, Starlock, Starlock Plus, Starlock Max. This one you can't get the Starlock Max blades on there because this is too big to fit through in the groove. Have I got a Starlock Max blade here to show you? Let me take a look. Here is the design of the Starlock, and this is a Starlock Plus. See, it doesn't have all the pins in it. This would never work on one of these adapters that I'm showing you. So you can't put this at all on any multi-tool apart from a Starlock Plus one. See, it won't fit on the old style because it doesn't have those holes for the pins, and the Starlock Max has even less here, so it won't fit on this Bosch tool. But this Starlock Plus one should click on. like so. So as you see, that's an automatic thing, just clicks, bang, locks in place, good and solid. When you want to remove it, lever, like the Makita, and off it drops, and it stays in that sort of locked shut position again, ready for you to put on your next blade. Push it down, bang. Nice and quick and simple, which is why a lot of guys like Starlock. They lock in place tightly, and it's quick and easy. But once again, what if you've got a whole lot of old blades, or you need a blade that you can't find in Starlock, or it's too expensive in Starlock, and you want to try one of the old O.I.S blades? Oh, they don't fit. Let's open up this one. I've used the Makita one, but I haven't used this one yet, so let's take a look at this one. Ooh, nice little box. Look at that, eh? That's nicely packaged. Now, when you push a blade onto the Bosch tool, these two pins open up, as you see, to hold the tool in place. So they're going to have to go inside the adapter. Here is the adapter, and it looks like it's sort of one unit, yet they've managed to have that all hollow under there so that those teeth can pop inside and grip this adapter and lock it in place, and then you screw on your blade just like the Makita one I showed you. You can feel it's magnetic. It's trying to pull itself on. Click. We are done. We are locked in place. Now let's remove our bolt here. This is a magnetic washer, unlike the Makita one I just showed you. So that sort of automatically just helps lock your blade in place, so that's good. So you ping that off, stick on our blade. It'll help hold the blade on with those magnets too, presumably. Where's the holes? There we go. Yeah, that's holding it in place lightly. Then we put our washer in place and our screw. Do up. And we are ready to go with that tool. So they're pretty simple. Now, if you've got the two different styles of blades, the O.I.S ones with the pins and Starlock blades, and you're using a couple of different ones at the same time, you can leave one like this attached to the adapter, and every time you want to change, you just drop the whole adapter off with the blade, chuck in the Starlock one, do your cut, jugga 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 jugga, and then take that off. You might have, say, a sanding attachment on this. You just clip it back on, do your sanding, and then, oh bro, I've got to do another cut. Off it goes again, back on with the old cutty Starlock blade, dugga 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 dugga. So there we go. That's quite useful if, because there's a lot of sanding attachments that still have the old system, so that'll be quite good. Speaking of sanding, actually, I saw on the website, I'll stick a shot of it on the screen now. Oslo Tool Company have this cool adapter so that you can use circular sanding pads like you would use on your random orbital sander. So it's a 110 diameter pad with Velcro on it, so you can use that for 4.5 or 5 inch, 125 millimeter sanding pads. That would be quite handy. I'd be interested to see how good that worked with one of these vibrating away like that instead of spinning. Might have to try one of those one day, but I don't have one for now. I do have a different sanding attachment actually that I was going to use when I made this video, but I forgot all about it when I made the video for this tool, so I'll just go grab that and show it to you. This is an attachment from Bosch, which, take a look, it has the Starlock attachment but also has the pins there, so you can put it on either way, and it's for sanding curved surfaces. Click it in. I said click it in, thank you. And now it's a bit odd looking, isn't it? Because there's nothing here. But that's because when you put the paper on, you put it on one side first, and then you can leave it a little bit loose, put it on the other side, and now look, we can sand a curved surface. And I've got some things I need to use this for now. I've had it kicking around for ages and haven't used it, but I do actually have a use for it at the moment, so I will use it shortly in this video, hopefully. So yeah, that's Starlock, so it will fit on there, or it will fit on one of these adapters as well. She's pretty rough. I was all prepared to say that you might as well just do it by hand because that's not much good. That's what I assumed was going to happen, but turns out that was pretty quick and effective actually. Yeah, it's not bad. With minimal effort, that removes stuff pretty damn fast. I will be using that to smooth off all these boards. Very good. Link in the description. And it does say it's compatible with all Starlock, Starlock Plus, Starlock Max and the old O.I.S systems. Now, anyway, enough yakking, let's go cut something, eh? Actually, before we go and cut anything, I better just tell you a bit more about the two tools we're going to be using, eh? So, drop that out of there. And we'll have a look at the Makita and the Bosch next to each other. Right, if we do look at them directly next to each other, you'll see the Bosch is much slimmer. The nose on this thing, much better for getting into tight spaces. The Makita is a fatty. It is one of the things that people don't like about this tool is that it is so bulbous on the end. But it is comfortable to use, it has a nice grip, and it has low vibration and sound compared to many multi-tools. So what about the Bosch? Well, I'm not familiar with this tool yet, but holding it in the hand, nowhere near as comfortable as the Makita. The Makita is much narrower in the grip area than the Bosch, and it's rounded much nicer. And as you can see, my finger and thumb touch each other quite easily holding the tool. It's a good, comfortable size. It's perhaps a little short in this area for blokes with big mitts, but for me, yeah, it works pretty perfectly. This one, however, you can't, look at that, it's much wider. Can't get my fingers anywhere near closed. And from the top, very uncomfortable to hold. It's actually way more comfortable, to me anyway. Fits better in the hand on the angle on the side there like that, rather than holding it from the top. So that's a bit annoying. I mean, that's straight off the bat, that's just uncomfortable compared to what I'm used to with this one. That just feels so much better. And your hand is right above the trigger as well. The Makita, the trigger's up the front. It's in a natural place for your thumb when you're using it like that. Just slide up, bang, flick it on and off. Whereas this one, if you're holding it like that, you've got to sort of put it in a weird place to, you know, your hand's over it. So you've got to juggle it around to flick it on and off. Put your hand back up while it's running, rather than this is just bang bang right in the logical place to me of where it should be. Both tools have a maximum oscillation of 20,000 per minute. The Bosch starts at 8,000 and the Makita starts at 10,000. So they're both variable speed with a dial on the back on the top of the Makita going from 1 to 6, and on the Bosch on the side at the back also going from 1 to 6. Now the dial on the Makita feels quite nice, it's smooth and feels high quality, whereas this one on the Bosch is a very cheap feeling piece of plastic, and you can feel every dug 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 graduation as you wind it along, and it just doesn't feel very nice. Both of them feel fairly solid tools. There's a little bit of vibration dampening for the battery here on the Bosch. Same with the Makita, you've got this sort of whole area here where the battery clips onto that is suspended sort of from the tool, just to give a bit of vibration dampening to not damage your contacts on your battery and keep those contacts in contact. Now, one of the most important things when it comes to multi-tools that a lot of people aren't aware of, doesn't matter really about the oscillation speed if your oscillation arc is too small. So this one has an oscillation arc of 2.8 degrees. So basically your blade will go 1.4 degrees to the left and then 1.4 degrees to the right. Add those together, you get 2.8 degrees of cut. Now that's not a huge number. The Makita, 0.8 of a degree more, which doesn't sound like a lot, but trust me, it does add up. When you're using multi-tools that have low oscillation, the cut speed drops dramatically. So the arc on the Makita is 1.8 to the left, 1.8 to the right. So you get that 0.4 degree of an arc more each side, and that means you're getting much more cutting per stroke. And the Milwaukee ones cut at, I think, it's over 4 degrees of arc. It might be 4.2. Can't remember. I'd have to go back and watch one of my videos. So bear that in mind when you buy one of these tools. Tools like this one and the DeWalt have very low arc angles, and therefore they don't cut anywhere near as fast, and they can even feel a bit more vibratey because of that. But we'll find out whether this feels more vibratey than this and just how loud they are and stuff in just one moment. What else do I need to tell you before we do that? Well, this one is made in China and this one is made in Hungary, if those two facts are important to you. And now I'm going to do some cuts with some Starlock blades, then with the adapter and some non-Starlock blades, see if there's any difference in vibration or anything, see if the adapters cause any issues or whether everything is good and honky-dory. It was at this point in the video making process that I realized I was not well. I'd been coughing and spluttering. I stopped filming, I started editing the video and realized how dull I sounded. And then the next morning I tested positive for COVID. That was 2 weeks ago. I'm still not right in my voice and I keep coughing a lot. So bear with me. I will of course edit out all the coughs and splutters and sneezes and what have you. But yeah, I might sound a little bit off for the rest of this video. So I'll go find something to cut. Now if you go back and watch that test again, you'll notice that this basically sounds the same through all that cutting. Whether it's cutting or not cutting, it sounds pretty much the same, whereas the Makita, very quiet when it's not actually doing the cutting. And the Makita was much quicker, as you can see if we put them next to each other like this. And so the Makita was much faster because it has that larger arc, that larger angle of cut. But that does cause other problems because it was much easier to keep this straight, because with that size blade and the size of the timber I was using, it can easily get out of whack. If you've got a blade that was much wider, like this for instance, and you're cutting a piece of wood that big, the blade's going to always be cutting your timber. When you've got a narrower cutting area and you're cutting a large bit of wood, it's much harder to keep it in the right position. And when they're basically the same size, you can easily go off track, as you'll see here. Now that's down to the Makita having that bigger arc of cut, and so the blade sometimes goes past the edge of the piece of wood and then deflects you off in an odd angle, whereas that didn't happen as much with the Bosch because it's not vibrating as far. That arc is much smaller. So that leads me to this, tool manufacturers. How about not only a variable speed oscillating multi-tool, but a variable oscillation so that we can change this, so that it's not always going all or nothing depending on which one you buy. Because the Milwaukee ones cut super quick, but they're nowhere near as good for precision stuff like these ones are. So if you could dial them down, if you could have this going from like 1 degree up to 5 degrees, then that would be awesome. How about somebody comes up with one of those? That would be a very good improvement to MultiTools. Why didn't somebody tell me how long this video was getting? I better wrap this thing up. It's just, you're all going to be falling asleep. So I might just go and cut some nails, and then we'll wrap this thing up. So the adapters work great, they do what they say on the box. It turns this from a Starlock into a universal or O.I.S capable tool. So if you're interested in some of the Oslo tool company blades and adapters, take a look down there. They do sort of deals where you buy the adapter and you can get some blades and stuff at the same time if you want to try out their blades. Otherwise you can of course use just about any blade with these adapters. That is the purpose of them. Now as for which tool is the best, well, the Makita, in my opinion, much better, far less vibration, far better balanced tool. This is way too back heavy with an 8 amp hour battery on it. With a 4, not so bad, but nowhere near as comfortable to hold in the hand. More vibration, takes longer to cut, so you get more vibration from that, you know, because you're doing everything longer than you are with the Makita. So the Makita overall, a much quieter, quicker, more comfortable tool than the Bosch. So I don't really need this Bosch, do I? I think I might give it away. Who wants a Bosch GOP 18 volt 28 brushless oscillating multi-tool that is Starlock and O.I.S compatible? I will of course include the adapter, so you get the whole unit, able to run just about any blade you please. I will give that away over on my Patreon channel, so if you're not familiar with that, take a look down in the description up here. There'll be links to Patreon, a few bucks a month. You get the videos earlier, you also get extra videos, plus I tell you what's coming up, other updates, stuff like that. And about once a month I give away a tool or something similar, so in about a week's time I will put this up on Patreon. So if you're interested in that, get down there, join up for that, up there, down there, yada yada. And yeah, I will run a competition over on Patreon to give that away to one of my Patreon members. And I will keep the Makita adapter for myself. Thanks again for watching, guys. It's about 3 weeks coming this video because of the old COVID, but got there in the end. It's maybe a little bit different to how I was originally going to do it, but hey, such is life. So thanks for watching. Hopefully I'm back on track for the regular once a week videos again now, and it'll probably be a Makita one next week. So I will see you then. Thanks for watching. Cheers, guys. Oh, and if you want to see some more Lego builds, I've just stuck a couple up on this channel up here and down in the description.